Hello friends, hello everyone in the world of astrology, the mirror of heavens on earth. What a powerful time we're in. I guess it's just too much happening. Sorry, I have been really wanting to many times lined up charts and give you an update. It hasn't happened so far. So today's solar flare 8.9, as you can read here, was a surprise. For weeks on end we had smaller flares. So it's like an inspiration coming in. That's how I experiencing it today, and I want to quickly share that with you before we get deeper into it. So this is the sunspot. It came off 3932. And you can read that. I put the link under the video and the description. And this is the chart how it looked in geometry in Greenwich on the 0 meridian, which is a fractal point. If we want to reduce Earth to one single point, this one offers itself very directly. No wonder that the Royal Observatory is in Greenwich, which goes back to the Stonehenge and all that ancient geometry structures to map the stars and such. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. What I want to say is that is a powerful place on this planet, because it's also 1/7 of the circle north of the equator, 5129 northern latitude, 5126, just a little bit less is the exact 7th, which is an angle which opens us to the skies. It's the number 7, which is implying infinity, something of the beyond. The 7 is also the top day in the 13-day wave of time. Every 7th day we are really at top of the pyramid. That's kind of the idea here. So this is a perfect place on this planet to receive and boil it down and get the message of the integral fractal, you could say. So anyway, that's how this chart looked in Greenwich. Now, this is my ascendant. Yes, it literally sparked me wanting to be there, visible in this world. And if you look at the chart, which is here for where I live, in Edmonton, in Canada, the 25th degree of Leo is up here. Now, you wouldn't believe, but that's exactly the charts I have lined up to talk about. They are all about this 25th degree of Leo. It's a whole series of them, and they will definitely be following in the next video. I'm really first paving the ground. This goes back to the lunar eclipse in September, had that same rising sign. Here we have the moon at this degree on the descendant naturally, which would be here on the 4th house cusp in this chart. Same axis. And then finally we will have the full moon chart of February the 12th, where all that leads toward. You see here you have the full moon in this exact axis. And last but not least, this is then when which goes back to now, okay, with the beginning of the year. Literally we're now on day 3, so to say, and really this is what I first want to talk about. I just want to give you this quick intro into an enormously powerful series of celestial moments which are all anchored in the exact same geometry here on the planet Earth. That is what it means when you see in Greenwich. Naturally that's where we're looking at, but this is true everywhere. For example, look, I'm just keeping going. I just show you because I have really dug deep in the last 2-3 weeks, believe me, looking at hundreds of charts and finding the ones which are really showing this synergy, this exact same frequency, how they then tie in with each other and build up greater amplitudes, and that's what you see here just coming. Now, look at that. Exactly the same axis. Can you see it? Okay, this is, by the way, that full moon has that same axis here, you see. It's just magical how moments in time link up with each other to generate higher amplitudes. Particularly if these are important events. So naturally the Leo full moon, this will be the last full moon. No, sorry, I'm saying it wrong. This is the first full moon in the year of the wood snake, which starts on January the 29th. There's so much building up. I mean, this is an incredible time. We're in the final months of the dragon. Don't forget that, yes, Mars is retrograde. That means everything is kind of undercover, in the hidden, rearranging, reshuffling the deck and all of that. That's what Mars retrogrades really are. And we're intimately looking at what Mars does in our lives, because Mars is so close to Earth, it's kind of obvious, as is Venus. So Venus and Mars are natural themes also in our psychological perception of reality, if you want to use that word at all. But it is really showing that this Mars retrograde is putting a damper kind of on it and allowing for things to really move in the dark, and then there's some powerful aspects Mars will make through the next weeks. But let's focus really on the important stuff. So let's look at what repeats. That's always where I first put my mind, and let's really go back to this chart. I think I really have to pack it in here in this one video. I'm really not good at fragmenting, sorry. It gets a little longer, but it is all tied together, and that's why I really should talk about it at the same time. Anyway, the long explanation short, here you have the chart of when Mercury turned direct again after going backward for 3 weeks. So these are always super important moments. That is when the forward motion, the outward motion, the outward expression of that planet's energy again begins. Till naturally its culmination when it's directly opposite from us on the other side of the sun at its superior conjunction, which will be in 2 months. And again, this is another chart I have looked at just hours ago. This is the one. This is then when Mercury is directly on the other side of the sun, if we look here from Earth. So anyway, this is the culmination point we are heading towards, but what I really want to go back to is the beginning now, where the gears are set in a certain direction. Now the 25th degree of Leo is a very interesting Sabian symbol. It is a camel going through a desert, having that capacity to go long stretches on reserves, having naturally been built up. So it is this is an incredibly resourceful degree. The 25th degree of Aquarius, that is, I just looked it up this morning. That is the butterfly where on which the left wing is, or is it the right wing? I guess it's the right wing, sorry, where the right wing is growing larger. Now this is super interesting in the context of my last video, where we talked about the emotional manifestation that is possible and happening between the 2nd of December into early April. as shown in the human design system, with that channel from the emotional center to the manifestation center, and it is part of a deeply emotional cycle which goes to extremes, but it is also the jack in all trades. It links crisis, which is 36, darkening of the light, the very final hexagram of the zodiac, so to say, which actually is the final one, fully in Pisces. So 36 crisis linked with 35, which is progress. It literally means progress through crisis, because you bet the planet in Gemini, in that section where 35 is ruling, which is between 11/22/30 in Gemini to 17 Gemini, for those of you who are astrologers or interested in the exact breakdown. That's 1/64 of the circle. Go to my website again, link down beneath, where you get the breakdown of all the 64 hexagrams where they're placed. A super powerful addition to astrology. You won't believe it. I really just touched the surface here with what I'm sharing. There's so much things one can understand. Anyway, that 25th degree of Aquarius. A butterfly with the right wing more perfectly formed. Now, listen to this. So we are emotional manifestors. That is what that channel shows. Everybody is able to do that right now. And we dig deep into our emotions. I mean, on that note, I'm jumping around today. I guess this is a new way of doing it. You see, this is the solstice chart. This is just the birth chart of this year. What we see here predominant is this exact Moon-Saturn opposition. The Moon still in the 7th house, but at the cusp, right at the cusp of the 8th, the mysterious dark place where we have to travel to with the black moon in here, certainly. In that very communal and public sign, Libra. So it's all happening really visible on the horizon. We can visually get the impression of what's going on out there. You might say, well, that is always the case. But you see, the thing is that now it's something is directing at it, and that is Chiron, actually. Nobody less than Chiron. You bet. At presently approaching its station, it's still moving backwards for 2 more minutes of arc till 1900 on December the 29th. Right at the eve of the new year. This in itself is super interesting. That now what I want to say is the black moon has been opposing Chiron already for a while, gathering strength, intensity. It was most exact just a few hours before the Sun was conjunct the galactic center. So that in itself shows that this was on the 18th of December, hours before the Sun had its yearly exact alignment with the galactic center, with the central Sun, which is literally the next level up in hierarchy and cosmic hierarchy, the Sun, and then the Sun circles with the solar system around the hub of the galaxy. That is the galactic center. Super powerful point in the chart. In any chart presently at 27 degrees and 11 minutes in Sagittarius. So that's always in these years about 3 days prior to winter solstice. So anyway, it was most exact, that opposition from the Chiron to the black moon on that very day. This is a cosmic assignment to look deep into your shadow, to heal your shadow, and do what you find out to be the truth. put that into form, manifest it. This is the time to do it. This is a super, super powerful time we're in, and we're ever getting deeper into. So the moon opposing Saturn, aloneness. I just posted a beautiful short resume by Laura Aboli. She is a really wonderful source, by the way, of information, not just also sharing her personal experiences, very often a wonderful communicator. Laura Aboli, you find her on Telegram. She spoke about aloneness being a central theme in almost everyone's life right now. And yes, that's true, that's my observation too. We are each really diving into our very deep individuality in that sense. We're researching, we're on a mission to find out more about ourselves, and for that naturally there's some sort of a recluse is necessary. This comes natural. It's like being in a cave, going for a retreat, or being in the cocoon. And that's kind of what we are here, hibernating through the winter naturally on the northern hemisphere only, but 90% of Earth's population is on the northern hemisphere, period. So there's always this predominance of the perspective from the north. The south has its own deeper mission. It's like submerged in the ocean. That's how I often like to see it. If we think of Earth as a globe, half of it above water, the other half below. It's also that south magnetic pole versus the north magnetic pole, which points up. That basic polarity, which again links into male female. So you could also say the southern hemisphere, the south, is more female. That's also where everything comes from, emerges from. So anyway, I mean, this chart is magical. Just look with Uranus here at the 4th house cusp. Uranus is playing a major, major role this year, because it's really in its most interesting stage, traveling through the sign of Taurus, which is hexagram 23. Which I repeatedly spoke about. This started about 2 years ago. I see, you must see, this is a 6-degree stretch roughly. Uranus moves about 4 degrees a year or so. So it was in and out for the last 2 years, has now its final stage in that 23, which is breaking apart. This is the basic name in the I Ching, Chinese Book of Changes, Chinese Book of Changes. The hexagram 23 splitting apart. It's the 5-week lines with the heavy top roof, and naturally this already very visually shows this is something deeply unstable which easily comes apart. Now there's a beautiful way to see this in the natural process integrated, that part. It is before, when we eat food, first it has to be broken down into the nutritions to be digested properly, and that's exactly what this other meaning of the splitting apart means. Splitting apart, first you think, yes, a roof is caving and it's something which is destructive in its own way. Yes, it is disassemble it, to take it apart, but this is not happening in a, if you want, in a chaotic process. It's a very structured approach the body has to break nutrition down, to break it down to the single ingredients, which then will be used on different places within the body and different organs even. So this is a highly intelligent system, and that's exactly how nature works on the bigger picture too. So this is a deep disassembly, and this last phase of Uranus in that hexagram, which is from 1852-30 to 2430 again, for those interested in numbers. So Uranus is in this hexagram 23 since December the 5th up to March 26. So this is kind of the time we will see huge changes, probably also geophysically. Be prepared for that. I link down, I just want to mention this because it really fits in, and we might go deeper on that in a while, but for now, you might have heard of Ann Tucker. She is channeling, bringing down an angelic energy, and she has been told, and she published that lately, actually in a very urgent message, that this event, this cosmic global event, is happening. What was the word they used? Well, I forget the exact word, because it is kind of interesting, I guess, something like not immediately, but oh, sorry, I thought I had that word on my tongue. Anyway, sometime pretty soon. So anyway, it hasn't happened so far. That's about 12 days ago, but I immediately looked into the astrology charts and I figured out it is the window, probably late January into the first 2 weeks of February. Be prepared, it might get quite rocky. Again, we might not even feel anything here in this place where we live. That is always possible. It can happen also on a way more refined level. See, energy chooses, in that sense, always the most, what opens itself to it. I guess that's how one could say it. And if we are able to shift that reception point to a higher frequency, then it will express, show itself in a different way. I mean, it's really, that's how astrology works on a very basic, in the very basics, that even a difficult placement, even a difficult astrology chart can show brilliant outcomes and most fabulous solutions, but it's more tricky, it's more challenging. Yes, that's true, but if we are ready to take on the challenge all by itself, then things will start assembling themselves in front of us. It's kind of a magnetism which is generated from the simple trust, from the simple confidence that yes, I'm in tune, I see signs all around me of attunement, so it won't change, and if it changes, it changes, and then it's okay too, because then that's how it should go, because everything that is happening already has happened on some level. That's why we can chart the astrological charts, because this is on a exactly mathematical order. It is all unfolding. Yes, super complex, many multi-dimensional, but it is based on that resonance of the quantum space, you could say, and that's exactly what astrology is showing. These are the symbols. Yes, we have to decipher it, and there's many ways to do that, and that's all good. There's many ways to look at the tree. Every angle you go a few meters and the tree will look slightly differently. That is how it goes. But any one system is showing the whole thing from that particular perspective, and that's, I chose astrology because it seems it's the most complex, most exact, most clear picture of what reality appears and has appeared, shows itself in each one of us, in as we are literally photographs taken in that moment when we were born. That's the energy imprint we have been given, and that's the one we are living. We are living examples of that moment in time, you could say, and that's what every moment is. So anyway, let's go back to the story here. Uranus, yes, shaking everything up, breaking it apart, and we are able to just sit there and watch it and allow things to fall kind of into a more basic gear. That's also what Saturn here and at the entrance of the second house means. Second house is Taurian in its nature. So you already have Saturn and Uranus here linking up together, because naturally as soon as Saturn moves into the second house, it resonates with the sign Taurus, at least in this global chart. So it will be a phase we are first going to of deep cleansing, in other words. That is that big 8th house, certainly indicating with 6th house. And I use here a few of the I guess you call that Uranian astrology here in North America. Hamburger Schule from Germany. And I was in Switzerland at the time. I took even a whole training with that group of people. Very interesting 8 points, by the way, the Uranian planets, which in my understanding are energies in another dimension. They can't be seen physically, but they definitely have a strong meaning. Hades means the most darkest and most difficult energies are to be purified in this corner, and Kronos is almost a divine frequency on the other end of the spectrum, representing all the honorable and deeply kind of like royal approach, that this is all me, this is all my kingdom, this is that's why I'm doing the best I can. That's kind of the attitude Kronos has. So it's a beautiful combination of energies as such, which we see uniting, and this is a unification, you could say. It still goes on into the next few years. So it also shows a deep purification and kind of transforming this really at first very difficult energy, which is linked also to famine and all the you could also say the handicaps we are given in different ways. All of that is included in Hades. Not really an easy one to deal with, but in the 6th house, yes, that's what we are handling now, and we are still in the frequency of this T-square. Chiron and the black moon have already been working on this shadow for quite some time, particularly Chiron in the last 3-4 years, I would say, and it is actually coming out on the other side. And here with Hygeia, I mean, it's all really happening. People are realizing the value of health and why they might be healthy or not. I guess there's a huge realization going on. This is part of really understanding what is really happening, what that shadow means. It is that, oh my God, is that really true? That is what's happening for many, many, many more people. It's really right now already on the speed of an avalanche. These are fabulous times we're getting into. If we are making it through this few weeks of probably quite a bit of trouble, so be prepared for it. Astrology definitely shows it. We'll get deeper into this in a few more videos, I hope. I mean, I'm always promising, I'm never really sorry, all holding up to that, but yeah, anyway, I do my best. We all do, I guess. So yes, that's where we're heading towards. Now let's look at what this target date is, with the same energy as the base frequency of this year. So this will be a critical key moment of what's unfolding. Very simple. You see, Uranus even more exact at the 4th house cusp. And now we have Mars and this duo here of the lowest and the highest meeting, and Mars still retrograding here, getting closer. Mars will turn direct on the 23rd of February, so these last 15-20 days of Mars retrograde can be quite revealing, and really we have to put things into the right place before we head up the hill again. This is the moment of taking action, of also covering the losses in a way, because that's what you do when things can't change anymore in a, yeah, I guess it's kind of you're almost hitting the wall. You have to act. There's no other way. This is the only way out, and at this point it happens quite naturally and forcefully if it has been held back, which certainly is probably the way it's unfolding with the black moon here with Zeus. Again, one of these Uranian planets. I found this interesting, the black moon linking up with Zeus. That's something sudden, something explosive, definitely in the nature of Uranus. That is what Zeus is, and in Libra naturally that's also again a very public place. So I also think of, again, those terrorist attacks in Germany. You probably have heard it. Links to this energy too. I mean, on that note, I just want to say nature allows for certain difficult events because they're necessary. They're kind of trigger points to really break some of these wrong worldviews open, create cracks in the system, show that maybe there's something deeper happening than what I think I have been believing so far. So anyway, that's part of the game. We will have difficult dark events happening, in other words, very obvious. Also with the black moon not only opposing here linking up with Zeus, that explosive energy, but also opposing here Eris. Eris is radical. I guess that's the best way to call her. She's female. She is that goddess who threw in the golden apple of discord. How beautiful symbol that is, the golden apple of discord, onto the middle of the table round of the gods up in the Olymp. Everything was kind of undercover, nobody really wanted to talk about it, all these undercurrents of rivalry and of animosity, and here comes Eris throwing in that golden apple of discord and bringing it to the surface, really letting it boiling up, and that's the energy of Eris. We take yeah, it's worth the risk, really. It's for truth, it's for reality, it's for what is real, to find out what is real. That is the big quest Eris has. I mean, Eris has already been hard at work pretty much from the first days it was discovered, because it was found to be slightly bigger than Pluto. So astronomers said, well, now we probably keep finding a whole bunch of planets in that size. It seems Pluto was not the only one. That's literally what it said. So they had to go over their naming board, so to say, not to create an indefinite number of new planets, which because I mean Pluto already is to be honest, I mean aside from its high powerful influence into our lives and reality, it is relatively small. It's about 1/15 of Neptune, which is his next neighbor in diameter, about half the size of our moon. It gives you another kind of perspective. So not to diminish Pluto at all, but Pluto had to be put in place because now there were so many more coming of the same kind. So Pluto was dethroned by Eris. This is really the big story behind the whole thing. Very, very important. So aside from all that, look at that, look at this. That's exactly what I was talking about. That is hexagram 35. And it actually happens. This is really the beauty of this little story here is there's Jupiter basically is activating this gate, this 35, has already last year for quite a while, but now between December the 2nd to April the 7th. So December the 2nd, Jupiter came backward here into this hexagram, activated it, then leaves it on the 27th of January, because it goes even back a little bit further. You see, in this chart it has just turned direct again at 11:17. So 11:20 to 30 is the cutoff line. In other words, for 2 weeks or so, Jupiter will be here in the prior hexagram, expressing through 16, which is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, and it's the 6th line, and when you change that 6th line, it leads naturally into 35. So it's kind of, Jupiter even pulls back a little further to get into us fully back into the preparation mode for what's truly possible then when Jupiter will move forward through this hexagram, which will start on February the 11th. Again, links back to that full moon I showed you earlier, which seems to be a real turning point. So anything, let's underline this here with the Mayan calendar. Bear with me, this is really just beautiful how it presents itself this time. So today, let's start with today, as this is really the initiation point. I was kicked off to finally stop holding back, procrastinating, whatever you call it. So today we are on this day here, 13 Muluk, red cosmic changing moon. This is the final day now of that 13-day cycle we entered in on the, I guess I still have written that down because it is helpful. So it was the 18th, yes, no, sorry. Yeah, around December 9. I would have to look it up. It's really sometimes too many things which I want to share with you and then I forget that I haven't prepared fully. Anyway, this is day 13 of that really important day, 1 Kaban, which was the beginning of a whole new 4 times 13-day cycle. Of dreaming something new into existence. That is where I'm getting with this. So today is the last day of this dreaming cycle before we start finding nuts and bolts to make it real, which is in Oak, the loyal heart, when we then start drawing maps and plans. That's what the 13th day of the North are before we enter then into the phase of getting it to happen, which will all be all through January, and then by early February, the 1st of February actually, we come into the last 52-day section of this 260-day cycle. Sorry if I lost you. But this is important. This will be, and I'm really pointing this out right now. I might not talk about it for a while, but this is an important day. This is February the 1st. This is when the renewal begins. Let that sink in. So the first 13 days of February are in total sync with the numericals of the days, with the Solcan calendar. So this is a most powerful 13-day cycle to start with. From, let me put the cursor again to the right place. From one muluk, here it is. Yeah. The changing moon. Anyway, let's see if I want to add one more chart. I guess this is the final one I had included here. So again, maybe one more word about this. I started the story and then I got sidetracked as often. Sorry about that. Moon-Jupiter conjunction. Oh, how beautiful. How beautiful is that? In Gemini. With the Sun, Mercury conjunction in Aquarius. This is a beautiful, kind of like a flower starting to open itself. That's what it feels on that level. Yes, there will be a polar event, if you want, at the same time, kind of, again, this is how the universe works in balancing. The more you lean to the right, the more you have to compensate on the left to keep everything in balance. This is still what is going, because we're still in the preparation phase for all timelines to merge. This is coming, but we are still living in a deeply dual world at this point. That's what I mean, and that's what we still see. So yes, there will be quite some grief on many levels, but it will be underlined by a knowing and the vision for change. And again, this will be day 7 in this Muluk cycle. Muluk is about, really, it's linked to the element water in a very strong way in the Mayan calendar. So it is what connects us all. This is water. Water is highly intelligent. We are 90+% water in our bodies. Water is a conductor. Water takes any form, can take any form. It's a few thoughts here, and so this will be the 7th day. So this is a super energetic alignment will be possible on that day. I guess that's the best way to call it. And the joke about it is, in this last phase of hexagram 36, the lunar nodes moves backwards, has just entered 36 by that day, a few days prior or so. We will get to that chart too, another important turning point. I tell you, please subscribe, then you get all these updates, because I'm really trying to give you real news and not just my speculations how certain aspects might unfold, what we will see. I don't tell you much of that at all, but I show you how the energies are connecting with one another, and naturally the Sabian symbols and the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching already have enough description of what is actually happening. It is and it is for everyone accessible. It's objective as it can be. That is kind of my approach. I really try to hold my own opinions more and more back. I'm not yet good at that at 100%, but it's where I'm heading to, believe me. Anyway, or not. The 29th degree of Pisces. In that very, very darkest spot of the zodiac, you could say. This is a very, very difficult line in the I Ching. This is when defeat is absolute in a way. When we have been overcome by tyranny, and tyranny is going to be there, at least for the next short while. That's kind of the energy which we directly get out of the description of that line in 36 hexagram, the final line. And that is where the two meet. So they meet at the darkest of dark spots in the zodiac to reanimate, I guess, sorry, put life into something in that sense, into a very deep recognition of what is wrong in this world. That is basically what the 36 is doing. It's laying open the crisis in its complexity, in its totality. Expect the financial system to go down sometime around then. Very possible, it's actually very well possible. Hexagram 36 will host the North Node for quite a while actually. It will be in there, I think I wrote that down here, let me see, just the other day. It will be in there, sorry, but this, I really wanted to tell you this. Anyway, I would have to look it up, but for quite a while. Yes, yeah, I will get back to that. It's in there definitely till March for sure. So quite a while. Again, which points to that same window we've had been mentioning with Mars retrograde, and I mean there's a multiple set of energies which are really showing something is heading into a wall, some major outburst of sorts, but again with that cheerfulness in it at the same time, that surprise of nobody knows where it's going. It's breaking apart, it's splitting apart, but it's done in an orderly way, in a very organized way. In fact, regardless of us seeing this is the fun part. We think there's chaotic, yes, and there is chaos to some degree. On that note, I really want to end another 10 minutes or so, maybe I will have here, so please bear with me. This is the way I understand freedom. You have heard of cymatics. You put a certain frequency on a metal plate, put sand on it, and what you see is that the sand organizes itself in perfect patterns. That's the order, the greater order. Now focus in, take a microscope, look at the individual grain of sand. It has its chaotic motion within the parameter of a certain magnetic field. It can bounce around freely, but it's a very limited, if you want, wiggle room it has. But that's where personal freedom hides, and that's where, that's really at the center of of the universe in a way. Each sand particle is the center of the universe in its own right, and everything is kind of appearing to bounce forth and back from the outside and the inside, and it happens in a very organic and balanced way. It's pure energy at this level. But that's exactly how we have to perceive freedom in a bigger way. As at the same time, there's the structures we are bound into. We have a great freedom in our opinions, in our attitudes, in how we take, how good are we in taking what life presents us. Yes, there's definitely some people who have been given a really big share of work to cut through, of, if not the best start. I mean, nobody gets the best start. That's again probably what do you call that? Urban, yeah, an urban myth. That's what I'm getting to. Okay. Anyway, I'm babbling like crazy today again. Sorry for that. When I'm on it, I am. That's my nature. I have Sag rising, Gemini, 7th house cusp, so I can definitely be quite fluent if I feel like. One last thing I really wanted to share with you is the meaning of the ascendant here in this chart, which matches the meaning of the ascendant here in this chart, which is really a theme which will go through our experience. That 19th degree of Capricorn speaks of a planetary mind. I think I should read you that one in full. That is intriguing. That's just a note I took. Let me see. So this is so much in tune with what I just all told you about the synchronization of all our different timelines, all our different minds, which started in a very curious way in 2020, when the whole planet was streamlined into the same experience. Let's keep it at that, but just makes you think about things in a different way, see other aspects of that reality. And I guess that's really the task we have to undertake, to learn looking at things from different perspectives, from different angles, and sometimes by surprise we might find that what we first experienced and understood to be the worst of the worst in the end might have quite a miraculous outcome. So the best way to live with life, and that's my personal way of dealing with it, is thank you, thank you, thank you. And literally, to even the most difficult experience, if you're able to be grateful for that, the solution will be in that very moment when you are allowing, relaxing into life, because there's a deep knowing we can connect with within ourselves, which gives us that confidence and trust, and nothing can go wrong, and even if everything goes wrong, it will be still exactly the right thing. Now that's the place we are moving to. The 19th degree of Capricorn, a 5-year-old child carrying a bag filled with groceries. Right, that is the keynote here, rising to the occasion. When asked to assume social responsibilities ahead of one's normal development. How powerful is that? And yes, accelerated growth is the key word here. It is being ready to take on something which seems to be overwhelming at first, but again, if we come from that place that whatever happens will be the right thing, just go with it, do the best with it, it will eventually come to a good ending, and if it's not yet good, then it's not yet the ending. Anyway, so we are getting into deep waters, that is very clear. Let me just add one more chart here, the final one in this sequence, because I thought this was really opening the jar in full. I'm digging till I find the jewels, and that's what I will tell you now. So I might be doing less recordings, but I really focus on sharing quality research here, and that's what I think. I'm very proud of myself, I have to say, that I am not giving in before I find these hidden gems, how they interlink with each other. So naturally, a partial solar eclipse, this is the most powerful event in the first part of the year. That is generally agreed upon amongst pretty much all of you. I'm guessing every astrologer. Eclipses are key moments. Now, as this eclipse links in with these two other charts, amplifying these two same degrees, and again, this is just a global chart. What I want to really emphasize is, in whichever location you are on the planet, you will have 3 times the same geometry. It might be 0 Aries rising for you in all 3 charts, or 15 degrees Aquarius, whichever degree. These 3 moments in time are linked together. Okay, I leave it at that. It's really, I will do maybe a little more of the work of focusing it in. Now maybe, sorry, I have one more chart which I really have to link in. Look, that is the degrees, the eclipse meeting point, the 8:59. That's where the sun will be, and the eclipse will be at its peak, 8:59 Aries. And now if I have to find the chart I want to show you here, just bear with me. Okay, no, I have it open. Up here it is. Yes, that's the one. I want to link you back to where we started with. 8:56 in Libra, 8:56 in Libra. That is where the black moon is in this chart. We are in this middle of the unfolding energy of this. This is a roughly 6-month period, started in September. Experiencing the shadow through this angle collectively, which is the first line of hexagram 48. 48 is the well, the source, where we pull out the fresh water which nourishes us. So this is a beautiful place to gather, to get fueled, to get charged up from deep within. Now this degree is opposed by where the sun is on that day, 8:59, but in other words also Earth is on the other side. Let me just let me redraw this chart. I guess that's all I need to do. Yeah, that's better. So that's where Earth is. on the 29th of March. Okay, that tells us that whatever we learn through these 6 months since September into late March will be brought down into action, into putting it down to earth, making it real. And to just jump one more line ahead, that 9th degree of Aries, yes, that's the last one, and we'll end with that, which will give you really then the opening to spring of what's coming next after the difficult phase we first have to navigate through naturally into the end of February for sure. The 9th degree of Aries is a crystal gazer. A crystal gazer. The development of an inner realization of organic wholeness. Is that ever beautiful? And this will be a collective experience again, which we're heading into. And it will be under the beautiful premises of, again, that's exact same opposition, which brings that child, 5-year-old, carrying that heavy bag of groceries right into the 7th house cusp of making it really happen. Again, another clear hint that things will flip in a very, very positive way. And the 19th degree of Cancer we haven't really read yet, and I guess that's the that will be the final one. Okay, let's see if I can hold this little promise. Maybe I break it. That's who I am. If I don't hold it, then I break it. And I guess that's how we all do it. This is a priest performing a marriage ceremony. It's about unification, about bringing opposites into congruence. How about that? And that already is full steam ahead happening. You see with this degree here, exact this symbol playing out in the collective, how we meet each other. It's very beautiful. It's really this realization of productive interpersonal relationships. Anyway, I hope you had fun. I guess it's getting dark here anyway, so I guess I better get out of this before too late. Love you all. Wishing you Merry Christmas and a happy New Year. Maybe I'll see you before that. I hope so. Just in case.